There comes a moment in every man's life when he must stand alone, not because he wants to, but because the weight of who he could become is too heavy to carry in the crowd. And in that silence, where excuses can no longer echo and distractions dissolve into dust, a voice begins to rise, not from the world, but from within. That voice does not beg for permission. It does not seek comfort or validation or applause. It demands one thing: purpose, ruthless purpose, not the sanitized version sold in books, not the soft, digestible, find-your-why slogans packaged in dopamine doses, but purpose forged like a blade in the furnace of suffering. Purpose that scorches mediocrity, that devours comfort, that annihilates the trivial. This is not a call to chase happiness. Happiness is a byproduct, not a pursuit. You don't chase it, you earn it through the struggle of becoming. This is a war cry for those who can no longer bear the slow death of drifting, because let me tell you the truth, the world will not mourn your potential. It will bury you beneath a mountain of distractions and praise your balance as you rot in quiet desperation. And you'll smile for the photos, check the boxes, and die with your song unsung, because mediocrity doesn't kill quickly. It's a gentle assassin. It kills by routine, by safety, by the slow erosion of your soul under a mountain of unfulfilled promises to yourself. You were not born to live half alive. You were not put here to blend in, to dull your edges, to make peace with a life you never chose. You were born to carve your mark into history. Even if history forgets your name, the world will not forget your impact. But to do that, you must decide. Not tomorrow, not when you're ready, not when it's convenient, now. Because the longer you delay, the deeper the roots of mediocrity grow. Look around. The signs are everywhere. Dead eyes behind smiling faces. Wasted talent buried under fear. People with oceans of potential settling for puddles. Why? Because purpose demands sacrifice. It demands war. It demands the death of your weaker self every single day, and most will never choose it. But if you're hearing this, it means something inside you refuses to die quietly. That spark, that ache in your gut that says there's more, that is your birthright screaming to be claimed. Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." But what he left unsaid is this: the how is brutal, the how will break you. The how will test your faith, your sanity, your strength, until nothing remains but the core of your essence. And that essence is where purpose is born, not found. Born, in the depths of trial, in the fires of rejection, in the lonely hours when no one is watching and you still choose to build. That's when purpose becomes unshakable. And when you have it, truly have it, the world can throw every storm and you will not bend. You'll bleed, yes. You'll fall, you'll doubt, but you will not stop, because once you've tasted a life aligned with ruthless purpose, comfort becomes poison. You'll never go back to sleep once you've seen what you could become fully awake. And here's the paradox. The world celebrates results, but destiny belongs to those who endure the seasons no one claps for. It belongs to those who get up broken, who build in silence, who keep the fire alive in pitch blackness. That's the man who changes the game. Not the loudest, the most consistent, not the most talented, the most convicted, because purpose is not gifted, it is seized. It is earned through the courage to say, "I refuse to die without becoming the man I was born to be," even if that means walking alone, even if that means burning bridges, burying comfort, and staring into the abyss until the abyss stares back, and you don't flinch. That's the edge, and most people avoid it their entire lives. They choose the path of least resistance. They settle for jobs that kill their souls slowly. They mute the voice of destiny with pleasure, distraction, and excuses. But destiny is not a product of chance. It is the result of deliberate suffering. And if you don't choose your pain, life will choose it for you. There is no escaping pain. There is only a choice, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And regret, that is the heaviest burden a man can carry. It festers, it grows, it haunts. Not because of what you did, but because of what you didn't do. Because deep down you knew what you were capable of, and you let it rot in the name of later. Later is the lie mediocrity tells kings. There is no later. There is only now. Right now is the only battlefield that matters. And right now you have two choices. Shrink back into comfort and let the world decide your fate, or rise, raw, flawed, unsure, and build your purpose one brutal step at a time. You don't need to know every step. You need only take the next one with conviction, because clarity is not found in waiting, it is forged in motion. And as you move, the fog lifts. As you bleed, the truth sharpens. As you endure, your identity is revealed, not the one society gave you, but the one etched into your soul since birth. And it will terrify you, because greatness is not a comfortable inheritance. It is a relentless responsibility. And once you accept it, truly accept it, you will never be the same. You will not tolerate average. You will not chase dopamine. You will not envy the lives of those who traded their potential for applause. You will wake up every day with one question burning in your chest. What must die in me today for the man I'm becoming to live? That is ruthless purpose. It demands everything, and it gives back something no one can take from you, a life of meaning, a legacy carved not in marble, but in motion, in the impact you leave behind, whether the world sees it or not, because greatness is not about being seen. It's about being true. Because being true to yourself in a world that rewards conformity is an act of war, and most will never declare it. They'll trade their fire for acceptance, their uniqueness for applause, their calling for convenience. But you were not made to follow, you were made to forge a path that terrifies you, to walk roads with no map, to speak when silence is safer, to act when doubt screams louder than courage. This is what it means to live with ruthless purpose, to move forward even when your hands are trembling, even when you don't feel ready, even when everything in you begs to retreat. The truth is, readiness is a myth. No one ever feels ready to carry the weight of their destiny, but readiness is not what builds legacies. Action is. Alexander the Great wasn't ready when he led armies at 20. Lincoln wasn't ready when he held a nation together with bare hands and bleeding hope. Edison wasn't ready when he failed 10,000 times in the dark before bringing the world to light. But they acted. They acted in defiance of fear, in defiance of doubt, in defiance of the small voice that said, "Stay safe, be like everyone else." Because they knew the truth, Nietzsche whispered through eternity, "Become who you are, not who they told you to be, not who you've been until now, but who you were always meant to become, the version of you buried beneath years of comfort, expectation, and quiet compromise." Purpose doesn't arrive wrapped in certainty. It arrives in fragments, a pull in your chest, a discontent you can't explain, a voice in the back of your mind that says, "There's something more," and you either honor that voice or you betray it. But if you betray it long enough, it begins to die. Not all at once, slowly, quietly, until one day you wake up and it's gone, and you realize too late that the worst tragedy isn't death. It's being alive without ever having truly lived. It's looking in the mirror and seeing a ghost, a man haunted by what could have been. But that doesn't have to be you, because no matter how far you've strayed, purpose waits for the man willing to reclaim it. But understand, this reclamation isn't polite. It's not spiritual fluff or morning affirmations whispered into the void. It is war, a war against the weaker parts of yourself, a war against every belief that says, "I can't," every habit that keeps you small, every toxic voice you've internalized from parents, peers, lovers, society, all of them telling you to stay in line, be realistic, shrink your vision. But the man with ruthless purpose does not shrink. He expands. He outgrows the box they built for him. He walks out of the prison of his past, not with shame but with fire. He turns his pain into power, his doubt into discipline, his fear into fuel. Because the man who lives with ruthless purpose is not afraid to feel. He is afraid to be numb. Numbness is the true plague of modern man. Numb to meaning, numb to challenge, numb to the divine call echoing through his veins. Distracted by dopamine, addicted to comfort, terrified of silence. But silence, that's where the voice of purpose lives. You must learn to sit in it, to be alone with the echoes of your soul and not run. Because only in that sacred stillness will you hear what the world drowns out. And what you'll hear is this: you were not made to cope. You were made to conquer. Not others, yourself, the laziness, the envy, the fear, the hesitation. The fake smiles, the self-betrayal, the shallow pursuits, the watered-down ambition, all of it must go, because purpose is not something you have, it is something you become. And becoming is messy. Becoming is painful. Becoming is violent. But so is birth. And you, if you are to rise into the man your soul demands, must be reborn. Not once, but every single day. You must choose purpose again and again, like a vow renewed in blood and action. And that choice will cost you. It will cost you your comfort, your friendships, your habits, maybe even the identity you've spent years building. But what you gain is everything. You gain clarity. Not the kind you find in books or podcasts, but the kind carved through fire, the kind earned through doing the hard thing when no one is watching. You gain discipline, not the robotic, joyless kind, but the sacred kind, the kind that turns men into titans. You gain freedom, not the fake freedom sold by modern marketing, the freedom of doing whatever you want whenever you want, but true freedom, the freedom of knowing who you are, the freedom of waking up and knowing exactly why you're breathing, the freedom of walking into the storm and smiling because you were built for it. This is not about chasing success. Success is too small a word. This is about alignment, becoming so brutally honest with yourself that your actions, your values, and your vision all move in the same direction. No more pretending, no more half-effort, no more living for the weekend. You don't need a vacation from your life when you're living on purpose. And here's the secret no one wants to admit. Most people don't want that responsibility. They say they want greatness, but they want it cheap. They want the crown, not the crucifix. They want the reward, not the war. But you are different. Because you're still listening. Because something in you, ancient, primal, undeniable, still remembers who you really are. You were born to carry something heavy. A mission, a message, a burden that becomes a blessing only when you stop running from it. And once you stop running, everything changes. You stop wasting time. You stop entertaining small talk, small minds, small visions. You start moving with urgency, not from anxiety, but from alignment. Every breath becomes deliberate. Every step becomes sacred. Every moment becomes a battle between the man you were and the man you are becoming. And you stop fearing the struggle, because you realize the struggle is the path. It's the forge. It's the temple. And the man who learns to love that pain, he becomes unbreakable, not because life stops hurting, but because he's finally hurting for something that matters, because there is no greater agony than aimless suffering, no deeper hell than pain without meaning. But once you assign meaning to your struggle, once you say this pain is part of my mission, you become unstoppable. Your wounds stop defining you and start refining you. That's the difference between the man who lives with purpose and the one who dies in mediocrity. Both feel the fire, but only one steps into it. The other runs, hides, numbs himself with distractions, food, screens, gossip, anything to escape the mirror, because the mirror is unforgiving. It shows you exactly who you are and who you could be. And that gap, that's the agony, the space between your current reality and your highest self. But here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. You built that gap, with every excuse, every delay. Every time you said tomorrow to the dream that screamed for today. But here's the beauty in that truth. If you built the gap, you can destroy it. One disciplined decision at a time. One uncomfortable action. One ruthless commitment to your future over your feelings. And no, it won't be glamorous. It won't be Instagrammable. It will be hard, repetitive, and thankless. You'll lose sleep. You'll lose comfort. You might even lose people. But you will gain yourself. And that is the most important victory of all. Because no amount of success, wealth, or praise can make up for the soul's betrayal. But when your soul knows you're walking the path you were meant to, even if you're broke, even if you're misunderstood, even if you're alone, you walk like a king. You walk like a man who's already won. Because purpose is the only currency that never loses value. The man with purpose can walk through hell and never be owned by it. He can be laughed at, fired, broken, and doubted and still rise, because he does not move for applause. He moves for alignment. He is not governed by the world's reaction. He is governed by his inner compass, and that compass points in one direction, forward, always forward. You'll hear the voices, of course. The voices of mediocrity dressed in concern, slow down, be realistic, you're being too intense. But intensity is not the enemy. Indifference is. The man with ruthless purpose does not apologize for his fire. He guards it, he feeds it. He protects it from those who would rather see him dim than shine, because they made peace with average. And you refused. Good. Let them call you obsessed. Let them say you've changed. You were never meant to stay the same. You were never meant to be well-rounded and soft-edged. You were meant to polarize, to stand for something so strongly that the world either moves with you or gets out of your way. That's how revolutions are born, not in consensus, but in conviction. Look at Carnegie. Steel was his weapon, but purpose was his fuel. Look at Disney, a man who went bankrupt, betrayed, and laughed at, but still built an empire of imagination because the dream inside him refused to die. Look at Ford, who was told it was impossible, laughed out of 5 companies, but kept going until the world moved on his terms. They were not realistic. They were ruthless. Ruthless with their vision, ruthless with their standards, ruthless with their time, because they understood. Mediocrity is contagious. One weak decision infects everything, and so they built lives with the precision of architects and the fury of warriors. That's your task. You are not here to exist. You are here to build a life, a legacy, a self you can be proud to meet in the mirror, and that means sacrifice. Yes, you will lose. You will lose fake friendships. You will lose cheap pleasures. You will lose comfort. But in that loss, you gain your edge. You sharpen into someone the world cannot ignore. Not because you're loud, but because your presence speaks louder than words. You become the man who walks into a room and doesn't need to say a thing, because his discipline, his energy, his alignment does the talking. That kind of power cannot be faked. It is earned. And every man who has it, every great leader, builder, warrior, innovator, paid the same price. They refused to let the world write their story. They picked up the pen, dipped it in blood, and wrote it themselves. You must do the same. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. It does not exist. Stop looking for signs. You are the sign. Stop asking for clarity before you move. You gain clarity through movement. And stop hoping for motivation. Purpose does not wait for mood. It acts in spite of mood, because it is rooted not in fleeting emotion, but in eternal truth. The truth of who you are, the truth of what you're capable of, the truth of the man you're called to become, not someday, but now. Every second you hesitate, the chains of mediocrity tighten. Every compromise, every delay, every small lie to yourself, it pulls you further from destiny. But every act of courage, every time you do what must be done, even when it hurts, you reclaim another piece of your power. This is not about being the best in the world. This is about being the best for the world in the unique way only you can. And to do that, you must rise, fully, boldly, relentlessly. You must burn the bridges back to your old self and move forward like your life depends on it. Because it does. You are not promised time, but you are promised this moment. Use it before the clock steals your chance, before the world numbs you into obedience, before your purpose withers from neglect. Use it, because there is no greater tragedy than a man who had the fire and refused to light the world. The world doesn't need more men who blend in. It needs men who ignite, men who burn so brightly with conviction that they set others ablaze just by existing. But to become that, you must be willing to walk alone. Yes, alone. Because the road of ruthless purpose is not crowded. It is quiet, isolated, lined with the bones of those who turned back, because they couldn't handle the silence. They couldn't endure the weight of responsibility. They couldn't stand the absence of applause. But applause is the drug of the mediocre. The greats don't wait to be seen. They build in the shadows. They bleed in the dark so they can shine in the light. So if you feel alone, good. It means you're on the right path. It means you've stopped following the herd. It means you've started to lead, even if no one's following yet. Because leadership starts with self-mastery, and self-mastery starts with brutal honesty. Ask yourself, where have I been weak? Where have I settled? Where have I betrayed my vision to be liked, to be safe, to be comfortable? Then take that man, the one who compromised, and kill him, ruthlessly, without mercy, because as long as he lives, your purpose dies. There is no room in the same soul for both greatness and self-pity, no room for vision and victimhood, no room for fire and fear. You must choose. And once you do, once you choose to walk through this world as a man on a mission, everything changes. Your mornings change. No more waking up when you feel like it. You rise with intent. Your time changes. No more numbing hours on screens and shallow talk. Every minute becomes a weapon. Your relationships change. You stop entertaining people who drain you, distract you, or doubt you. You surround yourself only with those who sharpen you. Your self-talk changes. No more "I can't," "maybe later," or "what if I fail." You speak to yourself like a general speaks to his army, with power, clarity, and unshakable resolve. And your identity, it transforms. You stop being a man who hopes and become a man who executes. You stop being a man who reacts and become a man who commands. Because purpose is not passive, it's predatory. It hunts, it takes, it builds. It breaks down every obstacle with bloody hands and unwavering eyes. You think destiny is handed out? Destiny is seized by men who are done waiting, done begging, done pretending, and done dying slowly in lives that don't belong to them. You want to know the real cost of mediocrity? It's not just a smaller bank account, it's not just a dull career or a dead-end job. It's waking up at 50 and realizing you never lived. You just survived. You followed the script. You kept your head down. You checked the boxes, you colored inside the lines, and now you're a stranger to yourself. Don't let that be your story. Rip the script, burn the boxes. Let the fire of your discontent become your fuel. That restlessness you feel, that quiet war inside you, that's your soul refusing to settle. It's begging you to remember what you are, a force, a weapon, a storm waiting to be unleashed on the world. But storms don't ask permission. They erupt. And so must you. Do not soften yourself for a world that has forgotten what intensity looks like. Do not quiet your ambition for the comfort of cowards. Let your vision be so loud, so clear, so wildly bold that it offends the timid. Let your purpose disturb people. Because true purpose is not palatable, it's dangerous, it disrupts, it shakes the ground, it demands the death of everything false. And most people don't want that. They want soft edges. They want to be liked. They want to be balanced. But balance is for the man who has no direction. Purpose is not balance. It is war. It's choosing to go all in on one thing, your calling, and letting the chips fall where they may. And yes, people will misunderstand you. They will mock you. They will question you. They will walk away. Let them. Let them misunderstand your discipline for obsession. Let them mistake your intensity for arrogance. Let them mislabel your silence as weakness, because while they talk, you build. While they laugh, you sharpen. While they sleep, you become. And one day, when the vision has taken form, when the dream walks in the flesh, they will look up and call you lucky. They'll forget the years you were buried beneath doubt. They'll forget the nights you cried alone, wondering if this fire would ever become something real. They'll forget the sacrifices, the solitude, the silence. But you will remember. You'll remember that you didn't give up. You'll remember that you were forged in pressure, in rejection, in pain. And when you stand in that moment, not just successful but transformed, you'll know it was worth it. Because you didn't just chase your purpose. You became it. You became the storm. Not a man who has purpose, but a man who is purpose. And when that happens, when your life is no longer separate from your mission, you don't just walk differently, you breathe differently, you think in strategy, you move in silence. You radiate a force that unsettles the lazy and awakens the brave, because you are no longer chasing power to feel important. You are power, the quiet kind, the grounded kind, the kind forged from scars and solitude, not applause. And now every room you enter shifts, not because you demand attention, but because you embody alignment. And that kind of presence can't be taught. It can't be copied. It can't be faked. It comes only from a man who has gone to war with himself and won. A man who has chosen meaning over ease, discipline over distraction, responsibility over resentment. A man who understands that pain is not the enemy. Comfort is. Because comfort kills purpose more quietly than failure ever could. It seduces you with small pleasures. It whispers, "You've earned this," when you haven't earned a damn thing yet. It drains your fire not with water, but with sugar. Comfort is the assassin of greatness, and the man of purpose sees it for what it is, a trap. So he wages war on it, not once, not in one glorious moment, but daily, in the mundane, in the repetition, in the unsexy grind of showing up when no one's watching and nothing's guaranteed. That's where legends are built. Not in stadiums, in silence, in sacrifice, in choosing to do what is hard, over and over, until the world bends to your will. This isn't about hype, this is about identity. You don't find purpose like a lottery ticket on the street. You forge it, you build it brick by brick, with courage, sweat, and unflinching clarity. And once you have it, once you live it, you become untouchable. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. Because the man of purpose is not afraid of suffering. He is afraid of wasting it. He is not afraid of failure. He is afraid of never trying. He is not afraid of judgment. He is afraid of looking back and realizing he lived his life for applause instead of impact. So he moves with intensity, not recklessly, but deliberately. He does not sprint in all directions. He walks with brutal focus toward one thing. And everything else? Everything that doesn't serve the mission, people, habits, comforts, is removed with precision. Like a surgeon cutting out cancer. Because that's what mediocrity is, a cancer of the soul. And the man with ruthless purpose will not tolerate it. He is not here to do his best. He is here to win, to conquer. To rise so fully into the man he was born to be that when he dies there is nothing left. No regret, no potential wasted, no brilliance buried, only the echo of a life that burned white hot and left a crater in the world. And that is your calling, to become undeniable, not just successful, not just respected, but necessary. To become so locked into your purpose that when people think of excellence, they think of you. Not because you said the right things, but because you lived them. Because when the storm came, you didn't fold, you stood taller. When others ran, you walked forward. When others made excuses, you made moves. And now the world has no choice but to feel you, because you earned that weight. You earned that name. You earned that life. And now, the only question left is, will you do it again tomorrow? Because purpose is not a one-time choice. It is a daily death of the man you used to be. And every day, the world will offer you a way out, comfort, distraction, compromise. But you will not take it. Because you didn't come this far to be average. You didn't survive everything you've been through just to blend in. You didn't wake up today to stay the same. You came here to build something eternal. Not just a career, not just a name, but a legacy. One that echoes long after your body is gone. One that speaks through the lives you changed, the standards you raised, the fire you lit in others. But that fire has to be lit here, now, within you. So choose right now. Not tomorrow, not next week. Choose to be dangerous again. Not reckless. Dangerous. Dangerous to doubt. Dangerous to limitation. Dangerous to every excuse you've ever used to play small. Because the world doesn't need more nice men. It needs dangerous men with good hearts. Men who are not afraid to break rules, burn bridges, and walk alone if it means doing what is right. Men who are not loyal to comfort, but loyal to truth. Men who are not content to exist, but determined to matter. That is the man you must become. No one will crown you. This is your rebirth. Not as a man chasing a dream, but as the dream itself, walking in flesh and fury. You have crossed the threshold, the point of no return. The old life, the one that begged for safety, applause, and approval, is dead. And in its place stands something terrifying and holy. A man on fire. A man whose soul is not just awake, but awakened with a vengeance. Not against the world, not against others, but against the parts of himself that once settled for less. He no longer needs motivation. He is motivation. He no longer begs for time. He bends it. He no longer fears death. Because he knows what's worse, to be alive but asleep, to exist but never ignite. And now he's here to ignite the world. But not by talking, by being, by becoming, by walking so ruthlessly in his purpose that mediocrity evaporates in his presence. that every room he steps into rises to match the weight of his conviction, that every man who meets him is confronted with a choice: rise up or step aside. Because that is what purpose does. It is not gentle, it is not soft, it does not apologize for its size, it does not beg for space, it commands it. And the man who embodies it, he's not waiting anymore, he's not negotiating with fear. He's not asking if he's ready, he's moving with urgency, with clarity, with thunder in his footsteps. He is possessed not by ego, but by destiny. Because once you taste alignment, once you feel your life click into place, not by accident, but by decision, you will never go back. You will never again betray yourself for validation. You will never again shrink your dreams to fit the smallness of others. You will never again confuse stillness with peace. You are not here to find peace. You are here to forge power. Because peace without power is slavery in disguise. But power aligned with purpose? That is the highest expression of a man. That is what shakes empires. That is what births revolutions. That is what turns names into eras. And this, right here, right now, is your era. If you rise, if you decide, if you commit, not once but forever, to being the kind of man who never strays from the path he was born to walk. Not because it's easy, but because it's his. The path was carved for you, before you were born, before you bled. Before you ever questioned your worth, the path was waiting. But it does not wait forever. It will disappear for the man who delays. It will vanish for the man who hesitates. It will close forever for the man who listens to doubt more than destiny. So you must walk it now. With blood on your hands and fire in your chest and tears in your eyes, you walk it, even when it's dark. Especially when it's dark. Because destiny does not bloom in comfort. It reveals itself in chaos, in pressure, in heartbreak. In nights so quiet you can hear your soul scream through the silence. That is where you meet the truth. That is where you meet yourself. And when you finally stand face to face with the man you were born to be, you will not recognize him. Because he is everything you feared, and everything you've always been. The man who doesn't chase purpose, he is purpose. The man who doesn't beg for power, he embodies it. The man who doesn't hide from pain, he uses it. And you will feel it. The click, the shift, the death of the old and the rise of the true, and you will walk forward. Not perfectly, not painlessly, but powerfully. Because now you know you were never lost. You were being forged. You were never weak. You were being tested. You were never small. You were just waiting to claim it. And now it's time. Time to kill distraction. Time to crush hesitation. Time to step out of the shadows and into the arena. This is your arena now. Not the job, not the market, not the opinions of people who will never understand. This, your life, your mind, your body, your mission. This is the battlefield. And the man who lives with ruthless purpose, he wins here, or he dies here. But he never retreats. He never settles. He never folds. Because he knows. This is all there is, this moment, this life, this breath, this war. There is no backup plan. There is no second self. There is no reincarnation for your dreams. It's this, or nothing. So rise. Walk like your soul has fire in its veins. Speak like your words can shake mountains. Act like every second is borrowed from the gods. And live, truly live, with ruthless purpose, or die. In the quiet graveyard of men who almost did, the world will forget most men, but it never forgets the ones who chose to burn. So light the match, and never look back. No one will give you permission. No one will hand you a throne and say, "Here, this was yours all along. You must take it, ruthlessly, boldly, unapologetically." And when you do, you will wake up one day, not just successful, but free. Not just accomplished, but alive. Because you will finally know what it feels like to live with ruthless purpose, and never again taste the poison of mediocrity.